Hi, Terry here, out in the middle of the deep, dark forest again. And as you can tell from my attire, it's early in the morning in the middle of summer, 4th of July weekend, actually. And you might think this is a bit kind of silly to be wearing in the United States, but actually out here in the South, the bugs out here are weird, and they're like kamikaze bugs. They'll fly right into your eyes, up your nose, into your ears. I don't know what the deal is, but very strange. Let's try over here. So, out in the forest today, I am not out here to do any shooting, although I am going to do some shooting. I got a second video coming up after this one today. But this morning, I'm out hunting for mushrooms. It's chanterelle season. Last year, I got 5 pounds of chanterelles. And if you know how expensive those are, you'd know why I'm out here braving the bugs to get them today. So, I'm also keeping an eye out for snakes. This is a low-lying swampy area, and there are a lot of water moccasins, cottonmouths, and a few copperheads thrown in for good measure. So I am armed. I might do some shooting, but might end up doing some shooting anyway. Who knows? I've seen some pretty big snakes out here. So anyway, yeah, it's really beautiful out this early in the morning. And if I find anything, I'll let you know. Okay, I must move carefully so I don't scare them. I don't want to frighten them away. But I want to show you something. Also, not sure what kind of snakes might be down in here, and I am wearing tennis shoes and shorts. But I want to show you, look at that. I will be picking those on my way back for sure and for certain. Oysters, oyster mushrooms. Not only edible, but absolutely nutritious and delicious, and right off of the road. All right, let's go look for chanterelles now. And here we are with some more. Well, here we are with some more of those elm oysters. And then here, and look, it's right on the side of the road. Here as well. And over here. And there. All along there. These are all edible mushrooms. All the way down. No chanterelles, which is what I came out for. But the elm oysters are doing great. And elm oysters are actually not even an oyster mushroom. They're not even in the family of oysters. They just look like them. But they are also edible, very tasty. I mean, you really, very difficult to tell them apart. And I don't know that it matters, except that the true oysters will come out later in the autumn, in the winter, like around November, December here. You get a cold snap. And right after that, if it warms up a little, those oysters will pop out all over the forest. But as you can see, no chanterelles. Here's one. I don't think this is an edible one. I'm not sure what it is, but I'm not going to find out by eating it because I don't know what it is. There are some edible mushrooms out here that I don't know that they are edible or not. So I tend to leave them alone. And I only go after the ones that I can trust my ability to identify them. For example, there's nothing out here that looks like an oyster or an elm oyster that is not an oyster. There are no toxic lookalikes. And there's nothing out here that looks like a chanterelle, but is not a chanterelle. And the same with certain species of bluets, which isn't the time of year for them. Very interesting. Not a single chanterelle. So, speaking of oysters, a few years ago, I was at a local grocery store and I bought a case of actual oysters, 60, case of 60. And I was at the counter paying for them, and a young lady behind the counter working it, obviously a teenager working like a summer job. She's probably 16, maybe 17. Sorry, the sun's behind me. And she's ringing them up, and she commented that she had never eaten an oyster and was curious, what do they taste like? Why does everybody always ask that? Ooh, what does it taste like? It tastes just like chicken. No, of course not. Not everything tastes like chicken. Or chickens. Anyway, chicken tastes like chicken. But, well, every chicken I've ever eaten tasted like one. So I said, okay, well, look, here's the thing. You want to be careful with them. They're really good. They're very tasty, absolutely delicious. But you got to take a knife and you got to slip it in between that shell very carefully and just gently work it open and then take it out and eat it. This is because if you get too aggressive with opening those shells up, you scare them. They'll jump out of the shell down on the table and they'll start running around on the table crying, help me, help me. And you're standing there stabbing at them with a fork trying to get them, and it just turns into a big mess. And that girl goes, really? No, not really. Jeez. I love it. I love it when I go in to buy a bottle of wine or something too, and they ask me for my birth date, and I'll tell them 1735. Or I'll say AD, not BC. I'm not that old. Yet. Yeah. Yeah, you might think his get up looks foolish unless you were out here. You'll see people walking down here going like this the whole freaking time they're out here. And that is including bug spray with DEET. In fact, you probably can't see them on the camera, but I can see them buzzing all around my head. It's just interesting that there's not a single chanterelle out here. That is very weird. Let me put you back on my perspective. They're usually, most of them down in here, are right up against the road. Very interesting, because you get back out there in the forest and they stop. You'd think they'd be out there, but they're not. They're right up here around the road. I guess you get just the right amount of sunlight and moisture and shade. They actually like it here. So I would find them normally growing right along the side road and then follow them out about 40, 50, 60 feet into the forest, and they stop. And I've seen them out here just, I mean, as thick as carpet. Like the whole forest was just yellow. Okay, so I'm back now, and here's what I've got. Not a lot, but enough for a meal or two, especially if I mix some other stuff with it. I'm just going to soak them now here in this pot for a little while, and then I'm going to clean them up, cook them up, and eat them up. So right now I'm waiting for the temperature to rise up outside. I'm waiting for the hottest, most humid part of the day so I can get out in the sun and do a little shooting. So see you then. And here they are, cleaned, cut up, sauteing in a little olive oil and butter in a cast iron skillet on the stove. And these dark things here, those are a few woodier mushrooms that I found growing along with the elm oysters. So I threw them in too. We'll just let that simmer for a while, call it done. And here it is. We've got our wild mushrooms that I just harvested and cooked, some chicken breast, and some plov. And plov is a Kazaki dish. It's made with rice, a little turmeric, some lamb fat, onions, garlic, carrots, and a few raisins thrown in. So, bon appetit. That's what I'm talking about. Try some of these mushrooms. Oh yeah. That's some good eating. Okay, so if you're wondering, when am I going to get outside and do some shooting? Well, the temperature is almost 98 degrees. Humidity is almost 98%. Sun's almost straight overhead. Good time to get outside and do some shooting. So stick around for the next video. Oh yeah.